Hey everyone, tonight I want you to imagine never having a choice about anything in your life. Not what you eat, not who you marry, not even what clothes you wear, and somehow being completely okay with that. I know, that sounds like your worst nightmare, right? We're so obsessed with freedom, with options, with making our own decisions. We stress about choosing the right college, the right career, the right person to spend our lives with. We've got decision fatigue from picking what to watch on Netflix. But what if I told you there was once a place where none of that anxiety existed, where every single choice was made for you from the moment you took your first breath, and people lived relatively peaceful, prosperous lives because of it? Let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from tonight. And honestly, tell me the last time you felt completely overwhelmed by having too many choices, because I have a feeling most of you know exactly what I'm talking about. Maybe grab something warm to drink for this one. Dim the lights if you can. We're going somewhere that's going to make you question everything you think you know about personal freedom, and whether having infinite options actually makes us happier. And hey, if you end up enjoying this journey we're about to take together, feel free to like and subscribe, but only if it genuinely adds something to your night. I'm not here to guilt you into anything, unlike where we're headed, because tonight, we're becoming children in the most organized, terrifying, and surprisingly functional empire you've never really thought about. We're going to live an entire life where rebellion isn't even a concept, because alternatives simply don't exist. Welcome to the Inca Empire. Your life starts now. You're born on a Tuesday. Not that you'll ever know what day of the week means, but the imperial calendar keepers do. They've been tracking your mother's pregnancy for months, noting it in their Quipu records, alongside the corn harvest predictions and tribute quotas. Before you even crown, before your lungs fill with that first gulp of mountain air, you already exist in the administrative machinery of the most organized empire the world has ever seen. Your first cry, that's basically signing a lifetime contract you can't read. The midwife who catches you isn't just helping your mother through labor. She's a state official. She examines you for defects, notes your sex, and makes her preliminary assessment of your future value to the empire. Strong limbs, you might make a good mitter laborer. Unusual birthmarks, could be significant for the priests to interpret. Born with a coal, the gods are definitely paying attention to you, and that's not always a good thing. Your mother doesn't get to hold you first, the midwife does, presenting you to the 4 cardinal directions and whispering prayers to Pachamama, the Earth Mother. Only then do you get passed to your actual mother. But even in that moment, everyone in the room understands something fundamental. You don't belong to her, you belong to the empire. And here's the thing that would absolutely blow your modern mind. Your parents are completely fine with this. More than fine, actually. They're relieved. See, in our world we panic about providing for our kids. College funds, health insurance, making sure they have opportunities. Your Inca parents, they know the state will handle all of that. Your education, your career, your spouse, your housing, it's all sorted. They literally never have to worry about whether you'll be okay, because the empire has already decided you will be. Within hours of your birth, a census taker arrives. Not some bureaucrat with a clipboard. This is a Quipu Kamayak, a master of the knotted string records that track every single person in the empire. He's already got strings prepared for you. Your location, your parents' caste, your ilu, your family group. It's all getting knotted into the imperial database. You're not just a baby, you're a data point. Your parents don't even get to name you yet. That comes later, after the community has observed you for a few days, watched for omens, seen how you respond to different stimuli. Names have power in the Inca world, and power belongs to the collective, not individuals. They might call you something temporary, little loud one, if you cry a lot, or sleepy, if you're particularly calm. But your real name, that's coming from the community elders, after careful consideration. Think about that for a second. Imagine if your parents couldn't name you. Imagine if your identity was determined by committee, based on how you behaved in your first week of life. Would you still be you? The rituals begin immediately. You're washed in water that's been blessed by the priests and carried from sacred springs. Your first clothes aren't chosen by your mother. They're woven in the colors and patterns that indicate your place in the social hierarchy. If you're born to farmers, you get earth tones. Noble families get bright textiles with specific geometric patterns. The clothes literally announce who you are and where you fit in the imperial machine. Your mother feeds you, but even breastfeeding has rules. Certain foods are forbidden to her while she's nursing because they might affect your temperament. The priests have determined that spicy foods make aggressive children. Bitter herbs create sour dispositions. Your personality is being managed from day one. And here's something that would horrify modern parents. Sometimes the community decides a child belongs elsewhere. If you're born to a family that already has too many children of your gender, if your birth coincides with bad omens, if your parents are deemed unfit by community standards, you might be given to another family entirely. Not adoption as we know it. Reassignment. The empire optimizes everything, including family structures. But you know what? Most of the time, this system works. Children are wanted, cared for, and given clear paths forward. There's no wondering what you'll be when you grow up, because that's already been decided. There's no anxiety about whether your parents can afford to raise you, because the community shares that responsibility. You spend your first months in a cradle board, wrapped tightly, and carried everywhere your mother goes. You're learning the rhythm of imperial life before you can even focus your eyes. The sounds of the marketplace, the cadence of Quechua being spoken, the music of daily rituals and ceremonies. Your brain is being programmed to accept the collective as natural, the individual as secondary. Your first breath might belong to the state, but in return, the state promises you'll never have to figure out how to breathe on your own. It's the most comprehensive social safety net ever created, and the most totalitarian system imaginable. Same thing, really. You wake up at dawn, because everyone wakes up at dawn, not because someone sets an alarm, but because the entire community moves as one organism. The roosters crow, the adults stir, and you stir too. Your body clock isn't your own. It belongs to the rhythm of the empire. You're 3 years old now, maybe 4, old enough to walk steadily, young enough to think this is just how the world works. And honestly, for you it is. Your day starts the same way every other child's day in your ilu starts. You help your mother scatter corn kernels for the chickens, not because you're particularly good at it, but because every task is a teaching moment, and every teaching moment is preparing you for your role in the imperial machine. Those little hands learning to distribute resources evenly. That's training for tribute allocation, that careful attention to not waste a single kernel. That's learning the fundamental principle that nothing belongs to you, everything belongs to everyone. The songs you learn aren't lullabies about going to sleep or cute animals. They're work songs, harvest songs, songs that teach you about reciprocity and obligation. Aini, Aini, you sing along with the other children, learning that everything is give and take, that you owe the community your labor, and the community owes you its protection. You're basically learning economic theory through nursery rhymes, except the economy is designed so you'll never actually own anything. Here's something that would absolutely blow modern parents' minds. You don't have toys in the way we think of toys. You have miniature versions of adult tools. Tiny spindles for learning to make thread, small hoes for practicing farming techniques, little looms for weaving. Your playtime is job training, and you love it because kids love feeling useful, feeling like they're part of something bigger. The other children in your ailu, they're not just playmates, they're your future co-workers, That boy who's really good at remembering the corn songs. He might become a Quipicamayok, keeping records for the empire. The girl who always organizes the other kids during games. Future administrator. You're all being observed, evaluated, sorted into your eventual roles based on what you naturally gravitate toward. And this is where it gets psychologically fascinating. You start to notice that some children wear different colored clothes than you do. Brighter colors, more intricate patterns. When the tribute collectors come through your village, these children's parents bow deeper, speak more formally. You're learning about hierarchy, not through explanation, but through osmosis. You might ask your mother why Chuya gets to wear the pretty red dress while you wear brown. Your mother will smile and explain that everyone has their place, that the bright colors mean Chuya's family serves the empire in different ways, that your brown clothes are just as important because they show you're connected to Pachamama, to the earth that feeds everyone. She's not lying to you, exactly, but she's also programming you to accept inequality as natural order. The games you play are brilliant pieces of social engineering. You play tribute gathering, where you collect stones representing different resources and distribute them according to complex rules you don't understand, but internalize completely. You play mita rotation, taking turns being different types of workers. You play marriage ceremony, where adults assign you pretend spouses, and you practice the rituals of state-sanctioned partnership. Think about that for a second. While modern kids play house and pretend to be superheroes, you're playing systematic wealth redistribution and arranged marriage. Your imagination is being channeled into reinforcing the system that will control your entire life. The stories you hear aren't fairy tales about individual heroes going on personal journeys. They're myths about communities working together, about the importance of following the established order, about terrible things that happen when people try to step outside their assigned roles. The cautionary tales aren't about stranger danger or being careful in the woods. They're about the chaos that comes from individualism. Your first encounter with real authority comes when the local Karaka, the regional administrator, visits your village. All the adults stop what they're doing. Children are hushed, brought forward to show proper respect. You watch your parents, who seem so powerful and protective to you, become small and deferential in front of this official. You learn to bow properly, to keep your eyes down, to speak only when spoken to, not through harsh discipline, but through watching everyone else do the same thing. The Karaka might pat your head, ask your name, make note of how well behaved you are. You feel proud of the attention, not understanding that you're being evaluated for future usefulness to the state. The psychological comfort of this system is something we can barely comprehend today. You never wonder what you want to be when you grow up, because that question doesn't exist. You never worry about making the wrong choice, because you don't make choices. You never experience the anxiety of infinite possibilities, because possibilities are finite and predetermined. But here's the thing that would terrify us. You're genuinely happy. You feel secure, loved, part of something magnificent and eternal. The empire provides for you, protects you, gives your life meaning and structure. You can't miss freedom you've never experienced, and you can't want choices you don't know exist. Modern helicopter parenting has nothing on this. We hover over our kids' homework and worry about their social development. The Inca Empire hovered over every aspect of childhood development with the systematic precision of a machine designed to produce perfectly functioning components. And the most unsettling part, it worked. You're learning your place in the machine, and your place feels exactly right because it's the only place you've ever known. The machine is beautiful, efficient, and totalitarian, and you're becoming its willing, grateful component. You're 8 years old when the sorting begins, Not sorting like Harry Potter, more like Amazon warehouse optimization, except the packages being sorted are human children, and the destination is the rest of your life. The officials arrive in your village on a Tuesday, because apparently the Empire loves Tuesdays for life-altering decisions. They're not teachers in any sense we'd recognize. They're talent scouts, efficiency experts, human resource managers rolled into one. They've got quippers hanging from their belts like cosmic scorecards, each knot representing data about children throughout the Empire's aptitudes, bloodlines, regional needs. If you're lucky enough to be born noble, congratulations, you get what passes for formal education in the Inca world. You'll learn to read quipper, those intricate knotted string systems that serve as the Empire's entire information network. Think of it as learning to code, except instead of creating apps, you're maintaining the administrative backbone of civilization. But here's the thing about luck in the Inca empires. It's not really luck. It's predetermined social stratification with a fancy bow on top. If you're a commoner, which statistically you probably are, formal education is cute but irrelevant. Your classroom is wherever your parents work. Your textbook is muscle memory. Your graduation ceremony is the day you can perform your assigned craft well enough that the community stops correcting your mistakes. Let's say your father is a metal worker. You've been watching him since you could sit up straight, but now the watching becomes doing. Your small hands learn to hold tools that were designed for adult fingers. You burn yourself on hot metal, not once, but dozens of times, until your nervous system adapts, and you develop the calluses that mark you as part of the metalworking caste. No career counseling sessions, no aptitude tests, no what are you passionate about conversations. Your passion is irrelevant. Your aptitude is what the Empire needs it to be. The psychological adaptation required here is something we can barely fathom today. Modern kids stress about choosing the right college major, worried they'll pick something they hate and be stuck with it. You're learning to love what you're stuck with, because stuck isn't even a concept that exists. This is just reality. But here's where it gets really sophisticated. The Empire doesn't just assign you a job, it makes you believe that job is sacred. If you're learning to weave, you're not just making cloth, you're participating in an ancient tradition that connects you to the gods, to your ancestors, to the cosmic order. Every pattern you learn has spiritual significance. Every color combination tells a story about your place in the universe. The metal workers don't just make tools, they're transforming sacred earth into objects that serve the Empire's divine mission. The farmers aren't just growing food, they're partnering with Pachamama to sustain the chosen people of the sun god. It's brilliant psychological manipulation disguised as spiritual education. The Empire doesn't just control what you do, it controls how you feel about what you do. Meanwhile, those noble kids learning quipper, they're getting indoctrinated too, just at a higher level. They learn to see the Empire as a living organism that they help coordinate. Each knot they tie represents people like you, resources to be managed, allocated, optimized. They're learning to love the system by understanding it, while you're learning to love the system by serving it. The seasonal festivals become part of your education too. Inti, the festival of the sun, isn't just a party, it's a massive demonstration of imperial power and your place within it. You participate in choreographed ceremonies, where hundreds of people move as one. You're literally learning to be part of a collective organism. And here's something that would horrify modern educators. Creativity is not encouraged unless it serves the state. You don't get art class, where you express your individual vision. You learn the approved patterns, the traditional designs, the methods that have been perfected over generations. Innovation happens, but it's controlled innovation, improvements that serve imperial efficiency rather than personal expression. The closest thing to career counseling happens when the administrators notice you're particularly good at something. Maybe you have perfect pitch and can remember complex songs. Suddenly you're being trained as a chasqui, my messenger runner. Your musical memory will help you carry oral messages across the empire's vast communication network. Or maybe you're really good at math, at understanding proportions and distributions. You might get selected for training in tribute calculation, learning to assess how much each region should contribute to the imperial storehouse system. But here's the dark beauty of it all. You're genuinely excited about these opportunities. Getting selected for specialized training feels like winning the lottery, because in a world where everyone's path is predetermined, any variation feels like privilege. The children who don't get selected for anything special, they're not failures. They're the backbone of the empire, and they know it. They take pride in mastering their family crafts, in being reliable, in contributing to the community in exactly the way their bloodline has contributed for generations. Modern kids suffer from decision paralysis. Too many choices, too many paths, too much pressure to optimize their potential. You suffer from no paralysis at all, because paralysis requires options. Your education is complete the day you can perform your assigned role, without supervision. No graduation ceremony, no diploma, no sense of accomplishment from personal achievement, just the quiet satisfaction of becoming exactly what the empire needs you to be. And the strangest part, you're genuinely grateful for it. The empire has given you purpose, identity, community, security. What more could anyone want? Everything, actually. But you'll never know that. 13 years old, and your body starts betraying you in all the ways bodies do, when hormones decide to throw a party you never asked to attend. But in the Inca Empire, puberty isn't an awkward personal journey of self-discovery. It's a state-monitored transition into becoming a more valuable imperial asset. The moment you start showing signs of physical maturity, you're no longer just a child learning your role. You're raw material ready for final processing. If you're a girl, this gets terrifying fast. Your first menstruation isn't celebrated with a quiet talk from your mother and a trip to buy pads. It's reported to the local administrators because you've just become eligible for one of the empire's most prestigious and horrifying honors, selection as an Achille, a chosen woman. Picture this: officials arrive in your village periodically to inspect girls who've reached menarche. They're looking for the most beautiful, the most skilled at weaving, the most spiritually pure. If you're selected, your family celebrates like you've won the cosmic lottery. You get taken to special compounds, where you'll live in luxury, receive advanced education, and serve the gods directly. What they don't mention during the celebration is that serving the gods directly often means being sacrificed at major ceremonies, or being given as a wife to a noble you've never met, or spending your entire life as a virgin priestess, never allowed to have the family or choices that other women get. But here's the psychological twist that would break modern parents' hearts. Your family genuinely sees this as the greatest honor imaginable. Your potential death or lifelong isolation isn't a tragedy, it's a privilege. The empire has convinced everyone that giving your body to the state is the highest form of devotion. Boys, you're not off the hook either. 14, 15 years old, and suddenly you're eligible for military service. Not optional military service, mandatory rotation in the empire's various campaigns and construction projects. Your shoulders, your back, your legs, they're measured, evaluated, assigned where they'll be most useful. Maybe you're sent to build roads in the Amazon. Maybe you're part of the agricultural terracing projects that turn mountains into farms. Maybe you get to carry messages across terrain that would challenge modern endurance athletes. Your body becomes a tool in the Empire's toolkit, deployed wherever need is greatest. The coming-of-age ceremony for boys is called the Warachiki, basically a month-long test of physical and mental endurance that makes modern military boot camp look like summer camp. You fast, you run distances that would require training programs today. You prove you can endure pain without complaint. You're not just becoming a man, you're proving you're worthy of the Empire's investment in your continued existence. And here's where it gets psychologically complex. You're proud of this, the pain, the exhaustion, the complete surrender of bodily autonomy. It feels like becoming part of something magnificent. Modern kids stress about their bodies in mirrors, worried about how they look. You're learning to see your body as a sacred vessel for serving something greater than yourself. The reproductive aspects get handled with the same clinical efficiency as everything else. Your fertility isn't yours. It belongs to the Empire's demographic planning. Girls learn that their wombs will produce the next generation of workers, soldiers, and taxpayers. Boys learn that their virility serves the state's need for population growth in specific regions and castes. Sex education happens, but it's not about pleasure or personal relationships. It's about biological functions that serve imperial goals. You learn about fertility cycles because the Empire needs to optimize reproduction. You learn about physical compatibility because marriages need to produce healthy offspring. Romance is irrelevant. Reproductive efficiency is everything. The Mita system really kicks in during adolescence. This is rotational labor service, basically a draft that can conscript your body for construction projects, military campaigns, agricultural work, whatever the Empire needs. Your teenage years aren't about finding yourself or exploring your interests. They're about proving your body can handle whatever demands the state places on it. Think about how different this is from modern adolescence. Our teenagers rebel against authority, experiment with identity, push boundaries. You're learning that boundaries don't exist except the ones the Empire sets, and your job is to internalize those boundaries so completely that crossing them never even occurs to you. Your body develops scars from labor, calluses from tools, muscles from carrying tribute loads up mountain paths. These aren't seen as damage, they're seen as maturation, proof that you're becoming a proper servant of the Empire. Every mark on your skin tells the story of your usefulness. The strangest part, you develop a weird pride in your physical capabilities. Not pride in how you look, but pride in how much you can carry, how long you can work, how efficiently you can perform your assigned tasks. Your self-worth becomes tied to your productivity rather than your individuality. Modern teenagers get eating disorders worrying about their appearance. You develop a relationship with your body based entirely on its functional capacity. Are you strong enough for the Mita rotation, healthy enough for reproduction, skilled enough for specialized work? By 16, your body has been fully incorporated into the imperial machine. Every muscle, every reflex, every instinct has been shaped by the Empire's needs. You're not inhabiting your body, you're managing it on behalf of the state. And the most unsettling part, this feels completely natural. You can't imagine your body belonging to you because ownership was never part of the equation. You're 16, maybe 17, and you wake up one morning knowing this is the year you'll meet your spouse. Not because you've been dating, not because you've fallen in love, not because you've decided you're ready for marriage, because the imperial calendar says it's time for your age group's marriage assignments, and the Empire doesn't really care about your personal timeline. Welcome to Love by Committee, where romance dies and reproductive efficiency is born. Every year, regional administrators organize mass marriage ceremonies called the Great Coupling, Imagine if LinkedIn decided who you should marry based on your skills, location, and demographic needs, except you can't swipe left, and there's no algorithm appeals process. The empire has been tracking you, your family lineage, your work aptitude, and your genetic desirability since birth. Now all that data gets crunched to determine your optimal romantic partnership. You don't get to meet potential spouses. You don't get to date around and see who you're compatible with. On the appointed day, you show up to the village square with hundreds of other young people from your region, and administrators start making matches based on imperial spreadsheets. You, the weaver girl from the northern terraces, you're matched with him, the metal worker from the southern valley. Your children will likely be skilled craftspeople, and we need more of those in the eastern provinces. And that's it. Congratulations, you're engaged. Please proceed to the wedding ceremony, happening immediately after lunch. The psychological mechanism that makes this work is something we can barely comprehend today. See, you've never experienced romantic love as an individual choice. You've grown up watching arranged marriages work out just fine, because both partners enter the relationship with the same understanding. This isn't about personal fulfillment, it's about contributing to the imperial project together. Your wedding ceremony isn't about celebrating your unique love story. You don't have one yet. It's about publicly documenting a new economic unit that will produce children, labor, and tribute for the empire. The vows aren't till death do us part. They're essentially, we will serve the state together efficiently. But here's where it gets psychologically fascinating. Most of these marriages actually work out, not because of some mystical compatibility algorithm, but because both people enter the relationship with realistic expectations and shared values. You're both committed to the same thing, being productive members of your community. Modern dating is exhausting because we're looking for someone who completes us emotionally, intellectually, sexually, socially, and financially. You're looking for someone who can help you fulfill your predetermined role effectively. Much lower bar, much higher success rate. The empire doesn't just match you randomly, though. There's sophisticated planning involved. They consider your work skills, your family's reputation, your physical health, even your personality traits, as observed by community leaders. They're trying to create partnerships that will be stable and productive, not necessarily happy, but functional. Your wedding night isn't about romantic discovery. It's about efficiently beginning the reproductive phase of your imperial service. Sex education has prepared you for the biological aspects, and community expectations have prepared you for the social aspects. Love, if it comes later. And here's the thing that would blow modern minds. Nine's love does come, often, when you're working together toward shared goals, when you're raising children together, when you're facing the challenges of imperial life. As a team, affection develops. It's not the passionate romance that modern movies sell us, but it's genuine partnership and mutual respect. You learn to love the person you're assigned to love, because alternatives don't exist, and human beings are remarkably adaptable creatures. Your brain, deprived of other romantic options, focuses all its pair bonding energy on the one person available. Stockholm Syndrome, except for marriage. Setting up your household happens according to imperial specifications too. You don't get to choose where to live. Nines, you're assigned a location based on regional labor needs. You don't get to decorate according to your personal style. There are approved designs for your caste level. Even your furniture follows government guidelines. But again, this eliminates so much stress that modern couples experience. No arguments about whose job is more important, because both jobs are assigned. No fights about money, because the tribute system determines your economic obligations. No disagreements about where to live, because geography is predetermined. Your relationship success is measured by how well you function as an economic unit, how healthy your children are, how efficiently you meet your community obligations. Personal happiness is nice if it happens, but it's not the point. Modern couples divorce because they grew apart or want different things. You literally can't grow apart because your paths are parallel and predetermined. You can't want different things because wanting is discouraged in favor of accepting. The empire has figured out how to eliminate most of the reasons modern relationships fail by eliminating most of the reasons modern relationships exist in the first place. It's the most unromantic romantic system ever created, and it works disturbingly well. You hold your newborn for the first time, and the feeling is exactly what you'd expect. Overwhelming love, fierce protectiveness, that primal certainty that you'd do anything to keep this tiny person safe. What you don't expect is how quickly you'll learn that anything doesn't include actually raising them the way you want to. Because in the Inca Empire, you're not really a parent. You're more like a government-appointed guardian with very specific job requirements. Your baby gets registered in the imperial census before their umbilical cord falls off. A Quipika Mayok arrives with fresh strings already prepared, because the empire has been expecting this child since the day you got married. They note the date, the time, any unusual circumstances of birth. This isn't just record keeping, it's inventory management. You get to feed them, hold them, comfort them when they cry. But even those basic parental functions come with imperial guidelines. Certain foods are forbidden during breastfeeding because they might affect the child's temperament in ways that don't serve the state. Specific lullabies are encouraged because they contain the right messages about duty and community service. Your child learns to walk, and you feel that burst of parental pride until you realize they're not learning to walk toward you. They're learning to walk toward their predetermined place in the imperial machine. The songs you teach them aren't the ones your mother sang to you out of love. They're the approved songs that every child in the empire learns, designed to instill the right values, the correct understanding of hierarchy, the proper relationship between individual and state. You sing them because you love your child, but you're basically programming their brain with imperial propaganda through melodies. When your child turns 3, the real heartbreak begins. Their education starts, but it's not education you control. Community elders and administrators begin evaluating their aptitudes, their temperament, their potential value to the empire. You watch strangers assess your child like livestock, noting their physical development, their mental quickness, their social compliance. And here's the thing that would destroy modern parents. You're proud when they get good evaluations. When an administrator notes that your child shows promise for specialized training, you feel successful as a parent. When they demonstrate the right level of obedience and community focus, you've done your job well. But you're also terrified, because the better your child performs, the more likely they are to be selected for service that takes them away from you. If you have a daughter who's particularly beautiful or skilled, you spend her childhood knowing she might be chosen as an école. You teach her to weave perfectly, to behave with appropriate modesty, to show proper reverence for the gods, and every skill you help her develop increases the chance she'll be taken away to serve in a temple or be sacrificed for the greater good. If you have a son who shows leadership qualities or physical strength, you know he might be selected for advanced military training or administrative service that could relocate him anywhere in the empire. You're proud of his capabilities and terrified of their consequences. The psychological gymnastics required to parent in this system would break most modern minds. You have to love your children enough to prepare them for lives that might not include you, while accepting that their highest achievement would be serving the empire so well that you never see them again. Your child asks you questions, the way all children do. Why do I have to learn this song? Why can't I play with the children who wear different colored clothes? Why does the caracas get carried in a chair while we walk? You answer these questions carefully, not because you're worried about your child's intellectual development, but because the wrong answers could mark your family as subversive. You teach them to accept hierarchy as natural, individual desires as selfish, state service as the highest honor. You're raising your child to be everything you've been taught to value: obedient, productive, selfless, devoted to the collective good. And if you do your job well, they'll grow up to raise their own children exactly the same way. The empire perpetuates itself through your love for your children. You pour your heart into preparing them for a system that sees them as resources, because that's the only way to keep them safe within that system. Modern parents worry about giving their kids too much screen time or not enough extracurricular activities. You worry about raising them well enough that the empire will want to keep them alive and functional. Your children will follow the exact same path you did: mitish predetermined education, assigned career, arranged marriage, state-controlled reproduction, and you'll be proud of them for it, because that's what successful parenting looks like in a world where individuality is dysfunction and conformity is love. The most heartbreaking part: your children will genuinely thank you for preparing them so well for their predetermined lives. They'll see your parenting as successful because you taught them to find meaning and satisfaction within the only system they'll ever know. You never really raise your children, you just process them for the empire with maximum efficiency and minimum trauma. Same thing really. So, how does it feel to have lived an entire life where every major decision was made for you? Take a breath. You're back in your own time now, in your own body, with your own choices stretching out in front of you like an endless, terrifying, beautiful menu of possibilities. I know that was heavy. We just spent the last hour watching a civilization turn human love, Maita's parental love, romantic love, community love, into the most efficient totalitarian system ever created. And the strangest part is how well it worked, how genuinely content people were within it. But here's what I keep thinking about, and maybe you're thinking about it too. How much of our own freedom is really just a different kind of programming? We stress about choosing the right college, the right career, the right person to marry. But are we actually choosing, or are we just following slightly more subtle scripts written by our culture, our economy, our social media algorithms? The Inca Empire eliminated the anxiety of choice by eliminating choice itself. We've kept the choices but added crushing pressure to optimize every decision. I'm not sure which system is crueler, honestly. Maybe that's the real horror of what we just experienced together. Not that the Inca system was so controlling, but that it was so comfortable, that total certainty, complete security, knowing exactly where you fit and what's expected of you. Part of you probably felt relieved during some of those chapters, didn't it? There's something both beautiful and terrifying about a society that could make people genuinely grateful for their lack of freedom. It makes you wonder what we might be grateful for in our own lives that future generations will look back on with horror. I'd love to know what you're thinking right now. Drop a comment and tell me, Mitas, would you trade some of your freedom for that level of security and certainty? What parts of modern choice anxiety would you be willing to give up? Thanks for taking this journey with me tonight. I know it wasn't easy, diving into a world where individuality was literally unthinkable, but maybe that's exactly why we need to think about it. Next week we're going somewhere completely different, a place where people had too much freedom and it nearly destroyed them, because apparently humans are really bad at getting the balance right. Until then, maybe appreciate the terrifying privilege of having to decide what to have for breakfast tomorrow. Your Inca ancestor would have found that choice both incomprehensible and exhausting. Sleep well, and remember, every choice you make even the small ones, is a luxury somebody else died, never knowing they could want.